Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Right here, 1972 BMW 2002. It's been on our channel a couple times before, just random odds and ends stuff. This episode is probably going to be fairly short, I'm hoping. It's suffering from possibly an overheating issue or a gauge issue. It's kind of like a 50-50 thing. Told the owner I'll bleed the system, check it. It hasn't been leaking or anything like that, or he hasn't said it's been leaking. Came in, I mean, it was a hot day, but it came in pretty warm. It wasn't in the red or anything like that, but definitely the gauge is reading hotter than what the engine felt like. So I don't know if we have a sensor issue or a gauge issue because, I don't know, or a feel, even though it was like 90-something degrees when he dropped it off. I'm not sold that the gauge isn't working not correctly. Or the sending unit. So we're going to put a standalone gauge in. He's like, just put a standalone gauge in. He'll trust a new gauge more than the factory gauge, which, I mean, it's a yes-no thing. New doesn't mean good, but at least this has numbers and not a line on it. Also going to run the system, make sure, there's no air in it or no air developed in it. And what else? Change the rad cap. Because if you didn't know, if you have a cooling system and you tend to overheat, but you can't find the overheating issue, simplest and cheapest thing to really do is just change out the rad cap. Sometimes they don't hold pressure anymore. So with that said, I'll try to drag in. Well, I can drag in. We got a clamshell hood. And start by the simple things of putting in a gauge. O'Reilly saved my butt on this one because I forgot to order adapters and they had them in stock. All right, join me under here. All right, guys, I'm going to start by replacing this sensor. Upper jacket should be a 19 mil. Good, because that's what I was committed to bringing. I hopefully shouldn't have to tell you guys, but make sure the car's cool. But yeah, sensor. We can check it. They read on ohms, boil water, so on and so forth. See what it comes up to. New sensor, adapter bung. Like I said, O'Reilly's had them in stock to convert from, this is a M14 by 150 to a MPT. Just a little bit of schmooge on here. They do have crush washers or, seals. I tend to schmooge everything just in case. At least I guessed right. Yeah, this is M14 by 150. Tight and snug. Don't go crazy. New sensor. We'll thread in itch to the adapter. This is MPT, so it shouldn't need anything. I mean, you could, like I said, I get the warm and fuzzies just by putting something on it. I don't know. But you shouldn't need anything on your sensor. MPDs are what? National pipe threads. They're self-sealing because they're a tapered fit. I need a 13. I thought I'd grab. You know, thought I grabbed everything to look professional, but no. And same thing with this. Just screw it down till it's snug. If you do over tighten them, there's a good chance you're going to snap them. I know this from personal experience. It's a 1/4 inch with the wrist action. That's in. All right, I have to make up a quick adapter. I don't want to cut the factory wire. So this is a female terminal. What I'm going to do is a ring terminal, a little jumper wire, and a spade so I can plug this into here. So give me a second. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But yeah, just an adapter. Like I said, I don't want to cut a factory harness. All right, it's just a quick, if it zooms or focuses, quick adapter. Ring terminal to go on the sensor, spade terminal to go into the original wire. Like I said, I'm not a fan of cutting up wire if I don't have to. This also makes it a little more serviceable because I will throw that old probe back into the car just in case it, I don't know, wants to be used. I'm not going to be using it for anything, or I don't have anything that should be using that probe. So, take this thing off. Like I said, also if you do have to remove it, you're not going to be scrambling around to find a 7mm. One at a time. Stay. Like I said, then we can just boop, connect this thing wherever the hell it wants to connect. Again, just snug it. Connect these terminals like so. Lighter. This is shrink wrap. What you can do, if you don't know, is a lot of the times if you heat your shrink wrap up and then let it cool, it'll save that position. Or I'm not going to say save it, but it's not going to try to completely, spring back to straight. I don't know, you're inducing memory into it, like so. So now it's wrapped. And it's not stressful. All right, radiator. The reservoir is empty. I did run the car up yesterday, or when it came here, and I did fill it. So what I'm going to do right now is top the system off. I had another funnel, but we'll use the mightiest, biggest one I have. Like I said, when it did come in, it was the reservoir was empty, but it hasn't puked anything into it. And it doesn't look funky in there. Like no weird floaters or anything like that. So like I said, I'm gonna bleed the system down. But all right. So that's all fine and dandy, except I screwed up. Now, I forgot about the aftermarket gauge. Typically, if you run 2 gauges in series parallel, if you run 2 gauges off the same sensor, they tend to read weird. I got to run another wire. Two things for key on. This is going to be fun. I got a block here, but tying into them sucks. That would be the easiest because the gauge is going like right there. Do we have anything in the fender? Or do we have a already existing hole? Because that'd be fan-freaking-tastic. This thing has EPS on it, electronic power steering, so I was hoping there would be like a pretty big-ass evident hole of somebody doing some debauchery and running some lines. Unfortunately, I do not see that. All right. Well, shit. I'll look in the car and see if I can find something. So I have aftermarket relays coming through. I think they poked it through the original seal for like these relays. Don't know what they do. This headlight. Alright, let me start figuring out how to do a gauge. Just need to find power, key on. Everything else is fine. Good news is I'm just going to do the same thing for the other sensor. Damn it, I'm an idiot. I should have remembered that. But the factory wire can be used if you want to swap gauges instead of using the aftermarket. Alright, let me poke around, run some wires. I don't know if I'm tying into something under here or not. Because splicing into the ignition is a long run that I don't really want to do. Yeah, and I don't know what any of this is. This is probably for the EPS. It's ran very jankily. I'll be back. Alright guys, status update. New gauge. Wired. Yellow, I'm going to keep it the same. The original wire on the engine's yellow, so we'll just use the yellow wire. For the running lights, or the lights on the gauge, they're going to be tied into because I'm tearing apart the dash to get a switch. The lights on the gauge are going to get tied into, a gray and yellow striped wire that runs the tail lights. Easy to find the loom. I'll T-tap it. I'm not a fan of T-taps, but it's inside the car. Not really a big deal, to me anyway. Only time I like to use T-taps is inside the car. Outside the car, major problems. I also had to find my T-taps. Anyway, so white is close enough to gray. Red is power. Fog light switch is actually keyed on, which is funny. It's aftermarket. So I'm going to tie into that circuit and get my 12 volt on power through that. And ground is ground. So let me sausage my way in there and start wiring this stuff, and I will show you the aftermath of it being installed. And well, I had to grind a little bit of this cup to fit it where I wanted to. You're never going to see it, but it'd be fine. So yeah, let me get this stuff all squared away, and we should be good. Yeah, that wire's long enough. I do like these cups for two reasons. One reason is they're fairly affordable and cheap. Two, or second reason, there's a lot of room in them that you can shove your wiring in. So you can leave yourself a pull if you need to. If you're going to run everything, you know, super tight and semi-sterile. Which I try to do. The only bad thing about it is they're held in by like an O-ring. So the gauges can tend to move if it doesn't seal correctly. But a little double-sided tape in, boop, and she'll hold. Typically. So, all right, let me get the stuff mounted. I'll be right back and show you the aftermath. Or if developments happen, I'll chime in. All right, guys, everything is wired. The gauges ran, so on and so forth. It's in the car. Now I get the fun task of firing this thing up and waiting, I don't know, forever for it to bleed or not run or overheat. I'm sausaging my way in here. All right. Now I'm gonna let this thing warm up. It's cold natured. One thing I noticed, the generator light's on. Oh, battery, what are we charging at? 14. No idea. Oh, went away. This thing needs a service. Let me let this warm up. All right, guys, this is a part of why I hate working on cars with coolant. It's expanding, so it's going. Actually, it went down some. So there was air in it. It was floating on top of the lip. I don't know if you were able to tell. This thing needs a hell of a tune-up. It does have some muddy water in it. We're sitting 180 right now on the gauge. So the gauge is working. I just wanted to see flow out of this red. That thermostat should be open-ish by now.
mean, it's hot. The bottom is cooler than the top. So that makes sense. The coolant is moving, so that's a positive. We know it's doing its job, or the pump's circulating. Like I said, I did see a bit of a burp come out. I'm still sitting 180. Man, this thing has a crackle tune in it. All right, I think all the air is out. Like I said, I got a new rad cap for it. 13 PSI. I'm gonna top it off and then seal it. I'll give it a second, make sure nothing else is gonna bubble out. Also, I don't have a fan blowing on this, so it should heat up quicker. It did suck it down a little more. All right, new 13 caps on. We're still sitting 180. Fill up this reservoir. Should be fine. There's a loud ping, and I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know if it's coming through on my mic. It sounds like something's hitting the fan. All right, but anyway, I think the overheat's solved. I'm just gonna let it mill for a while and I'll report back. I don't think there's anything else we're doing to this. But if this solves it, I'll be happy. Like I said, the gauge is reading 180 currently. It probably has like a 182 stat in it. That squirrel cage is off, so it's just idle right now when the pump's doing what the pump's doing. Everything feels right, so I'm hoping it was either a faulty sensor or the gauge, because like I said, when it did come here, it was reading hot. Not saying that the gauge I put in is reading completely accurate, but I guarantee it's reading accurate or more accurate than the readings I was reading. Because like I said, the car didn't feel hot. It just read hot. So hoping the standalone gauge is gonna fix it. I'll report back. Not gonna drive it. The only good thing about water is, well, it's going to overheat if it's going to overheat. If it does overheat driving versus sitting here and just idling, back her down a little bit, I guess is the best thing I can say. So, all right, I'll report back, but I think we're pretty much done. Also, I'll have to bring you in. I'll bring you in tomorrow because, well, it's a bit late out if you can tell. Bring you in tomorrow and just show you the gauge, or to give or take wiring. My battery's about to die. Join me tomorrow. All right, guys, before I close this episode out, I'll show you the interior, or basically what I did. Hold, please. Oh, Lordy. All right, really simply, gauge, you can see, gauge is mounted there. It's wired in to the left. Well, it comes on. I have the kill switch on. Hoping it comes on.
All right, gauge, boop, lights up. So that's all working. Temp gauge obviously works. The main gauge is disconnected. Like I said, I don't like wiring them together. The way I can get around doing that or running dual gauges is if I splice into either the upper or lower hose. They sell adapters. I don't like doing that. That gauge, to me, honestly, I think the factory gauge was reading close enough. The low coolant and me burping some air out of the system might have been the main reason. After I stopped recording last night, I think it got up to like whatever that line is, 195 probably, which is fine. Basically, I just had it in drive because there's a automatic. Had it in drive and just sat with my foot on the pedal. Basically, what that would do is lowers the RPM and well, also pump speed, fan speed, stuff like that. Still no air moving across, and it didn't break 195 for that line. Once I kicked it back into neutral or park, what have you, brought the revs back up. The fan and pump were able to bring the temperature down or start bringing it down. When I kicked on the squirrel cage, it also helped. So air movement, obviously, air movement, RPM, it's coolant. So it all helped. But with that said, let me put you back on your legs and I'll close out this episode. Like I said, this might be a fairly quick episode, but yeah, don't know. But it's done. I just need some work after the last few hot days and wet days. You know, in and out. Ooh, excuse me, in and out stuff. All right, guys, closing out the episode on 2002. Coolant system, like I said, I didn't drive it. Usually, at least with air or water-cooled stuff, I think I said in the last clip, after I turned the camera off, I basically just ran it on idle or in drive on idle, foot on brake, just to slow everything down, no air movement, and it didn't break 195. So I'm hoping it's solved. Obviously, we'll know when the customer picks it up. But yeah, like I said, no test drive. I couldn't get it to overheat. Me test driving it would be the way the complaint was. He had to get a lot of miles on it. I pretty much hoping I simulated enough, but the low coolant level and I think a bad sensor were what was giving the reading. Because like I said, the hoses per the gauge were not jiving in my brain hole. It said it was really hot and it was not. So, like I said, again, the lack of coolant really helps it out. I don't like dealing with coolant, obviously. I work on air-cooled stuff. Very few exceptions while I work on a water-cooled vehicle. But with that said, let me close out this episode. If you liked it, however it came out, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you do. I promise you we will chit-chat as always. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.